Well, it's time to meet the teams now. It's brought to you by Everest Funeral Concierge. We'll start with Team Fleury from the East St. Paul Curling Club. It's part of the greater Manitoba, Winnipeg, Manitoba area. Skipped by Tracy Fleury with Kristen McCush, Liz Fife, and Selena Negevin. The Einarson team from the Gimli Curling Club, skipped by 31-year-old Carrie Einarson with Brianne Mayer, Shannon Burchard, and Val Sweeting. Prior to the event, they had the draw for the button for a bonus of $1,000. That was won by Jen Jones. And according to the ranking, Carrie Einarson finished third, Fleury fourth. And so Einarson has elected to take last rock. Fleury has elected to take the blue stones. And so as we get it underway here with Kristen McCush, it will be Einarson playing the yellow rocks that has the hammer. She has that last rock. She'll need to score 2 for the opening skin, and it's worth $1,000.
It's great.
Talked to Hans. Talked to Hans Woodford this morning, and he's really happy with what happened last night with the ice. They had to kind of guess on how much to nip off and get the amount of curl they wanted. Now they know exactly what the rocks are doing, so they're going to be a little more aggressive with taking a little bit of pebble off, and they're going to get a wee bit more curl here.
Well, we saw today, just when we were prior to our opening, seeing about 4.5 to 5 feet.
Yeah, exactly, which is just ideal.
Line's really good. Curling now. It's good. Light, great. Hard then. Yep. Right yep, get it over. Hard. Curl bit.
You want to get this tight. You don't want any long corner guards because they're harder to run in. So trying to get this at least to a 3.
Good.
If you're not familiar with the skins game, we play 5 rock rule, 8 ends, 30 minutes thinking time, 160-second timeout. You win a skin, Einarson has to score at least 2. A steal would give the skin to Fleury. Score 1 would take that money and carry it over. If we should get to the end, as we nearly did last night before a brilliant shot by Brad Gouju, we could have had a draw to the button for that final skin of $6,500. That's the skins game, and we love it. I know many of the fans do. Certainly it was a big part, an exciting part of the Continental Cup a couple of weeks ago in Las Vegas.
Was that one, Trace? 14-5.
Yeah, there's nothing like it, really, Cheryl. It's all-out offense, both teams, but you have to, somewhere through the end, go, oh, whoops, wait a minute. We might have to bail here, and it's when you do that is the key.
Yeah, a lot of teams will discuss after the front end players, the lead and second have thrown, okay, let's take a look at the house. Are we in good shape, or do we have to open it up and move on to the next end?
Line straight, curling now. Trying to come down. Yep. Top 4 straight. Line's good. Line's good. Wait only. Wait only. We're past it. 14-2. Even if you're here, it's not bad. Yep. That's okay. Good. That's good.
Let's talk keys to the game, and we'll start with Team Fleury.
Well, leave room for the draw, and what I mean by that is Tracy is legendary. Her draw weight's just impeccable, but you need a bat to get there. With skins, that's difficult to do. There's already corner guard blocking off the out-turn draw, so you have to be careful and leave yourself some room. And communication, it's so new for all 8 of these players, really. It's a single sheet. Television lights are bright. Everybody's watching you. The crowd's in closer. It's a lot more intimate. You really have to stay focused and keep talking out there.
Not curling at all. Kristen, if you can, but you can't farm. Get right to it. Okay, line's good. Yep. Hard. Just to it. Hard. Atta girl. Nice shot.
And now to the keys to the game for Carrie Einarson.
Well, I think one of the big things for this team, with the 3 of the 4 players lacking in skins experience, Val Sweeting has had much of it. She's played in all 3 previous skins. She's won a total of $77,000. So listen to her guidance out there. And then the force effect. When you don't have the hammer, play for the force. Steals are tough, and they're not without risk. So the force is always there.
Ah, sweet talk. Keys to the game are brought to you by Kubota. Quality built, precision made.
Whoa.
Coming through by 1, by 2. Angle it back and move them around. And Einarson will leave herself as the shot rock at the moment. Remembering now that's just the carryover point. She'll need 2 to pick up this opening skin of $1,000.
I love the weight she threw at this. Didn't overthrow it.
Almost rolled the throwing rock in behind the corner, too.
When you're not throwing weight, Russ, you don't need to get rid of everything. That the Fleury stones behind there are only helping Einarson's team.
Not quite where they wanted, but very usable. And you heard them say top 12 right out of the thrower's hand, and that's where it ended up.
So we're playing for $1,000 first and second ends, and then we'll just add a little bit more till we play for the big money towards the end. Look at that, 7, 8 is $6,500 total, $21,000. Mayer. And just angle it back and angle it up, and they will, for the moment, hit the 2 for the Skins.
That's how important it is to guess at the right speed if you're the brusher. They yelled back 4, and that was more like T-line. Just that couple feet lighter, away that thing went. Looked good for the race here, Cheryl, and then it just made that right-hand turn.
You don't see as much inside-out play in Skins, so it's always a little bit of guess, too, where you put in the broom. Everything seems to just always be to the forefoot.
So Peel weight here, you can jump across and be buried here.
Kick it, and moves it far enough. And there's your steal point for the moment if you're thinking Fleury.
Okay, good shot.
Great extension on the Peel weight there to give it a little more power.
Still got a pretty good piece of it, option to roll to the right. You can't get in behind the 2 center guards, so you can roll hard to the right.
A little heavier than the one Shannon's are here. They got to be careful.
No roll. Okay. That's okay. That's all right. 10-5.
Did you ever play with a lefty?
No, I haven't. No, I didn't. No.
Good shake. That's nice here. Perfect.
But she said, Carrie said that was really the big adjustment for her when they were putting these skips together. This fact that she does have a lefty, just because it comes at you a little differently and learning the release.
Well, your tendency, if you play with right-handed players, is you know that the out-turns run a little straighter, the in-turns curl a little more, and you have to always remember it's the opposite.
We're just fully. Maybe.
Fully is what they're saying on this draw by Selena Nigovan.
All right. Okay. Good seat.
Former
14-9.
Selena Katz, congratulations belatedly on her
That's close to center.
marriage to Connor.
14-9.
Or
If you
half.
want to stay there, we might have to throw hack.
Okay. Yeah, it might grab a little bit. Our draws were very gradual here, though. Got it.
Half weight will allow them to try and sit as much right in that spot so that they can block off that draw path. Any come around, the force will be to the out turn.
Standing hard.
Here's your left-handed theory here, isn't it? You know, this is Val's out turn. That's going to run a little straighter.
Hole right through.
Okay, that's fine.
Wow.
10-5.
10-5?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 10-5, they'd ask for hack. So hack could be closer to 11.5. That's 10.5, almost a second difference.
Yeah.
Had more speed there than it was released, wasn't it?
It's hard not to do first end. Your tendency is to always, and it's a smart thing, is to overthrow a little bit first end because the ice grabs, paths are new, but I think that path had been worn down enough already.
Might go a little bit here since it's not doing anything yet.
You make this hit
Okay,
and
you got
roll
it.
behind that pile, and it's going to be tough to remove.
Thanks. Nothing? That's great. Okay.
Nice weight,
Thank
Trace.
you.
Right there.
Yeah.
Well, if you can get that little roll in behind and maybe guarantee itself at least a carryover.
That's fine. Great weight.
Just so
Little
straight.
quiet or 10-3? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to sit right there and give a world-class player like Tracy Fleury a second crack at that exact same spot. Just roll somewhere here.
Okay. Might have to do like a tap freeze or something.
Yeah.
Can I wait? 10?
Yeah.
Okay, you got it.
Out of the Gimli Curling Club, where the
10-5, 10.
Manitoba Championship was last weekend in Gimli, and it turns out Hans Vutrick is also from Gimli. So lots of Gimli content here, and what a great shot that is. Actually rolled a little bit further than they indicated there, Russ. They thought maybe we'll hang it on the edge, but they actually took it underneath.
Really nice shot.
That is so much her strength. I mean, she can draw for sure, but when you look at her hitting ability, she's a laser as far as hits go. She makes the rolls, and I think it's a lot her weight. She's got great technical, but she never overthrows. She throws the right weight for the shot.
Beautiful shot. Can you get to the nose of this blue tap back? I don't think you can.
Nice here. Yeah.
Just tucked enough, is it?
Yeah. So where are you going to raise this, Cheryl? Can you tap it beside the yellow?
Just a little less, Lena.
You might be able to, tap it beside, even if you rub a little bit of that yellow.
Yeah.
That wouldn't hurt either. And hit everything you can see, but don't crash on the guard.
Just get it in there for second shot, even force Einarson to a tough one.
Boy, they're giving it a good go here. Fight McCush.
Oh, it's going.
And this is going to be dead in the water as it crashes in front. And have a look around the edge.
Yeah.
And that's enough. That'll give them the opening skin. Einarson with a lovely hit and roll to the center line. And the first $1,000 goes to Gimli's Carrie Einarson. Straight down Jasper Avenue here in Banff. Some 4 million visitors every year to the park and to Banff Avenue in Jasper, just up the road, of course, off the highway. Lots of snow in the last couple of days. And many visitors this weekend for the TSN All-Star Curling Skins game as the opening $1,000 goes to Carrie Einarson. So now here in 2, it'll be Tracy Fleury that has the last rock. She has the hammer playing the blue stone. She'll need the 2 then to pick up the skin of, again, $1,000.
This is always a tough game, I think, to play after both these teams. It's unique that they both just came off the Manitoba provincial final, one with a win, one with a loss. But it's always that mental. You're coming off a win, so do you have a lot of letdown because you just gave everything you had for that game, or you're coming off a loss and you're disappointed. It's always the provincial finals after that game. Your next event is always a tough one to play and to try to get up for.
You never forget the team that beat you in a big game, do you?
No.
There's kind of a grudge there, isn't there?
Yeah, I think it's nice.
Carrie's had the Einarson team, or Carrie herself has had the experience last year of going through the wild card and then they got right to the final.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm sure they're having those discussions.
Line's good. That's good.
Yeah, what a luxury, isn't it, to have that second chance?
Weight's good. You're going to have to finish it. Here it goes now a little.
But they've earned it, right? They've had such a great year.
Yeah, and really Fleury's year has been pretty up and down, pretty average, and they would, I think, completely agree. It hasn't been stellar, but sometimes that's the way you see it. The teams that have had the average year, they come on strong by the time provincials comes around. The other teams, maybe you're expecting too much. You go into it, you're expecting that win, and you're not working quite as hard. That you see it a lot.
Yes.
Sliding a bit. Line's great. Curling now. Come down. Pretty close. 3. Oh, you. Line's great. Really curling. Yep. curl again. Okay, that's good. Let it grow. Nice, Grant.
So they met in the Manitoba final last weekend in Gimli. And this is the line score. And look at that. You pop a 5 in the second, Carrie Einarson. You end up losing it 13-7. So look at the second half. Actually, yeah, second half from 5 on. And you were saying, my argument in the car coming over was, boy, can't you play defensively? And Russ, you said, you know what? She actually played a skins game because there were so many rocks in play, and then Einarson couldn't respond.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really that's the beautiful part about the 5 rock rule is you when do you go to that offense? When do you stick to the defense? It's hard when there's 2 guards out there to keep it clean. Chap off here.
And a little rub. Look at this spin. Now going to find some cover. Not quite. Sits out in the open. So what does it all mean with regards to the upcoming Scotties? Well, we know now that Carrie Einarson, these are the points you build up throughout the season. And Rachel Homan has had an outstanding year. So she's number 1. So Carrie Einarson, like she did a year ago, will be one of the wild card teams. Rachel Homan, we already know, was guaranteed one of the wild card spots by virtue of missing the Scotties as our Olympic representative. But Rachel Homan is in the Ontario final. If Homan should win, then you slide down. We know Jones is there as the defending champion. We know Carey was there as the Alberta champion. Suddenly, Miss Scheidegger, if Homan wins, would be there as the second wild card team, and you would have Einarson against Scheidegger. If Homan should lose, she gets a wild card spot out of Ontario. It would be Einarson and Homan on the Friday night in Sydney.
You know Scheidegger would love that more than anything. They had such a disappointing provincial, losing the A, B, and the C games, which is a heartbreaker for any team.
And Homan, as mentioned, is in the final of Ontario, and they are playing that final 7 p.m. Eastern Time this evening.
13-7. Okay.
Not the spot they wanted that one.
I think it'll be out here 14.5. If you're here in practice, yeah.
14-2?
14-2. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, we talked about it in yesterday's game. It's that, and you do it in the traditional game, but it's that mental mindset that you're not really making shots for the first kind of 4-6 shots of the game. It's more set up. You don't have to be perfect on them, but just don't be deep.
Right.
Nobody can use them. They can't be brought back.
This isn't light either.
Back 4. T, back 4.
Whoa. Back 8. We're almost
T,
to that
I think
one.
we're T.
Roll. Back 4 is fine.
Good. Okay, good call now.
And back they go.
Who's that? Back.
Yeah. Good chance.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that much. We were kind of guessing on speed.
Full 4.
Okay, you got it.
A little more advantageous for the team that's not with Hammer, in this case Einarson, to be a little deep, because you've now shrunk the scoring area. It's hard to hit that yellow one, so Team Fleury is going to come down here. There's not a lot of real estate left to get that too.
Not curling yet. Top 4. It's not curling. Top 4. Full 4. We're there.
Pretty quick spot here. That's where Brad Gushu missed in the second end last night.
Needs to finish. Biting button. Kristen. Needs to finish. Biting button. It's not curling. T-line. Goodness. 14-3.
Well, they'll just bite the pinhole. So looking for their 2, of course, to win the skin. Fleury sitting the 1.
Okay. It'll be like a 14-2, 14. Okay.
Couple rocks a little deep this end, but other than that, both teams have been really impressive at reading the ice, Cheryl, because they practiced their half-hour practice was with a lot straighter stones that they're using right now, so they're making really good adjustments with the ice.
This is where we did see some good curl in the game last night, is once you got to this line here, that's where you get some good finish. Look at that.
And very nice to get across the nose. How good was that? Just enough to push it by to avoid the jam.
Is that better?
Perfect weight.
Duty, Val.
It's a strange sensation being out here with a single sheet and the fans are 2 feet away from you, talking to you as you play.
Really nice here.
And you talked to us about that adjustment to the ice that they've made. That was, I think, the advantage that Botcher's team had last night. You know, it was a tremendous shot that Guju made in the 8th, but that was his best of the game. Up until that, they'd won some money, but they hadn't done it in dramatic style. So it was Botcher's adjustment to ice and stones early that really carried him.
Yeah, no question.
Good, Selena.
That works. It opens things up. Yeah, I think with Darren Moulding, we touched on it a little bit, being an ice maker. I think that's a real plus for that team.
Or do you like a 10.5? Yeah, whatever we know.
Back now.
They're really close together. So.
So a lot more weight at it this time.
Weight's good. 10. 9.5.
And the problem is the curl isn't really till you get close to that line, and you're not throwing near it when you're throwing that kind of weight and out so much further. It's just hanging.
Really, really hard. Go, go.
Well, again, she managed to slip it by. Little tick. They are sitting 2, needing 1 for the steal. Could have really jammed it on that stone just back edge of the button, but managed to deflect and then split to the T line, 8 foot.
Okay, line's good. Just cut close. Tight. Yeah, it'll go. We're short. It's just tight. It'll go. It's just tight. Well, leave it.
Might be better to stop brushing this because it's not going to get into the 8 foot where they want it. You don't want to hook those guards.
Yeah, they kind of got caught in the middle, Russ. Even if you brush it a little more and try and tick off one of the
true.
2.
14. I think it'll be good. Yeah. Let's make this right. Top 4, top button. Okay.
They know this spot. They've seen it twice.
Okay.
And the guards are staggered in their favor, too, for this come around. The high one's a little bit more to the right. You get around that one, you've got some room.
Now Sweeting with the brush down right in the middle of the 12. So
Top
a good idea of where the curl is now on this second draw. Our second game of the Skins game here in Banff.
Top 4. Line's great. Yes. Top 8. Yeah. Oh, you make it good. Line's great. Hard.
Oh, look at it swoop now.
Hard.
Bayou, Burchard, top 4. Bury it, take it in. How far? And they'll just drag it to the top edge of the 8. So we're filling out the field. We talked about the Ontario Women's Final is tonight, so that's one of the finals. Also BC, familiar names. We know Jennifer Jones is the defending champion. Congratulations, Chelsea Carey, a winner again out of Alberta. Tracy Fleury, Andrea Crawford out of New Brunswick. Jill Brothers was the winner in Nova Scotia. Been a while since we've seen Jill. Carrie Galusha, familiar name. Suzanne Burt is back out of PEI. So some familiar and experienced names in this year's Scotties in Sydney, Nova Scotia.
We talked about Carrie Einarson being one of the best hitters on the planet. I'd say good drawer, not great drawer. This is a great drawer, and this gives, because that rock was 2 feet light, it gives Fleury an opportunity to sink one here.
Back 4. No. All you lines really lines.
Fife and McCush.
Right here. Just by your 4.
Right here, and a little deeper than they may have thought, but you'll cover the pin. So that is one of the 2 that she needs to pick up the skin. And finally, as we talk about the Scotties, that first game on February the 15th, 6:30 Eastern Time will be the wild card game. Carrie Einarson a year ago came in as the team dressed in black, and they ran all the way to the final. Who will she play against? Rachel Homan if Homan loses the Ontario final. Scheidegger if wins it.
It was a good draw by Fleury, but a little deep, and it gives the opportunity here for Carey. She can sit something down right on top of this, and it's going to be a really tough chance to get a deuce.
Be quick here. There's been a lot of traffic down this end, so this spot will be warmed up a bit. You can't be heavy here.
Well, and I thought Tracy's didn't come down until the last little bit when it curled. Like between the hog line and the house is when it started to go, and then it started to come down.
Burchard on the right, trying to help it over a little bit, direct it towards the shot rock. And what a lovely shot. It moves it back, and not quite far enough to be the steal point. So now, how do you get in there if you're Tracy Fleury to get a deuce?
That's exactly what a great shot. Makes it really tough. She might have an in off.
Yeah, I think so. Just try to touch it. Okay. I think that's all there
Redirect.
Maybe a soft weight out turn, Cheryl, and maybe run in that way.
Like just almost a redirect.
Yeah. You know, they really, Team Einarson could have, not that was a bad shot by any means, but moved that an inch farther in their shot rock. I know they were playing the freeze, trying to shut down that scoring area, but the line was so good, they could have pounded that hog line in and sat shot rock and maybe pull a steal out of this mess.
I would suspect this will be about probably a back line weight, maybe even a hack, and you just try and rub off. You can see a bit of that yellow on the left.
If you rub off the first yellow, though, you might tap them in for shot rock.
Not a good option.
It's a bit of a guess here for the line, too, isn't it? It should curl pretty hard, I'm guessing.
Tracy Fleury, Ontario champion, Northern Ontario champion, and now will wear the Manitoba Moose, representing a third province. Trying to hold this now, a little redirect, just touch it, come over, and it'll go through in the back. And that one by Fleury will mean we'll carry over for the first time. We'll add $1,500. We'll play for $2,500 when we come back. Well, sometimes you only have that one chance to either score your deuce or hold the opposition. And this is a great shot. Wonderfully judged, Carey Einarson.
Well, it is, and this is skins. You have to come up with these big kind of turnover shots that force the opposition to a tough shot for their deuce, and she did this.
But as Russ mentioned, if they knew that, pounded a little harder, may have been possible to steal the point. Rather, as a carryover, the key shot is brought to you by Meridian, your partners for on-farm, industrial, and oil field storage and handling. So with that carryover, we will carry on as we go to the third. And it'll be Team Einarson that has last rock. They have the hammer playing the Yellowstones. They'll look to score the two. The skin here in three is worth $2,500. Sometimes you just don't know where the brain is going.
It is early, Vic.
It just has a mind of its own.
It does. Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Yep.
Let it loose.
A lot of teams approach the second shot or the first shot for your team in the skins, and a lot of different options. We watched Gushu come around here short every single time. That looks like what Team Einarson's going to do here. Leave it open. Don't bury it. That would stagger the guards and would hurt you down the road. Just leave this one usable.
That was a little bit of, and something when we played Kevin Martin, we learned a little bit of that from watching him before we played. Is that was his exact philosophy: is don't go in with hammer first, don't be the first one in, but set up a couple shots, but make sure they're usable. So tight to the rings, you can run them back. You go in too early with hammer, and you get shut down, and you don't ever get your chance at your skin.
Isn't that's a great? You think about what you could do in any sport. It's a way of disarming your opposition. If in fact you do what they do and maybe do it better. Suddenly Kevin Martin's going, well, why are you doing this? I didn't expect you to do this.
I do this, you don't do this.
Now, how does he respond?
Right.
And he's got to make the adjustment. You're forcing him to play your game rather than you play his.
True, so true. And we watched a lot of his tapes before we played him in skins because we didn't have as much skins experience, and that was one of the things we picked up and used.
Right around everything here, a little bit of a new, fresher path.
What a wonderful final she had Brienne Mayer, the former Canadian junior, Manitoba junior champion.
Line. Oh, sorry, Brienne.
Again, all skips here when you talk about Mayer and then Burchard, Sweeting, Einarson. Interesting how this team actually came together. It was Einarson and Burchard and Mayer first, and then Val Sweeting you see there just in the foreground. Her team was changing. Again, it happens after that 4-year Olympic cycle. And she was talking with Einarson and said, you know, you're looking.
Lots of line right now.
I'm willing to play third, because Burchard was actually going to play third, and Mayer was second. They were looking for a lead. And Einarson said, well, will you play third for me? And she said, only if the others are willing to move back or move down to second and lead. And they all agreed, and this is how they came together.
Well, no egos on this team. I think it speaks a lot. This, you know, everybody said, wow, they've had such a great start to their season and a great season so far, but they took a lot of time in defining roles this summer. They worked, I know, with Mark Kennedy a little bit. They've really tried to get a jump on what they had to do and how they had to be out in the ice together when you do combine, you know, 4 leaders. Defining the roles is probably the biggest thing they had to work through as a team.
Got her best on the center line guard as it's coming up quickly. Angle it back and now left it corner frozen just off the corners. Great year, as you mentioned, for Carrie Einarson. Really, they surprised themselves a little bit. Their whole plan was to front end load. We're going to get out there. We're going to bang brushes and throw rocks at other teams early, and it paid off as they won Oakville, Morris, Manitoba, Winnipeg, Calgary. They lost 4 others. They qualified in 8, so they're 5th on the tour, $87,000 and change.
Who says 4 skips can't work, right, Cheryl?
Well, yes, but they also had to learn how to brush and that.
What is that, brushing?
Yes, I know. I'm foreign to you, yes.
Line's getting good if you can bury it.
Well, that is, they did go to the gym this summer. They worked on that because they knew that probably would be their weakness as skips, that they'd have to increase their workouts, their fitness, the strategic angle of the broom, even to get that brushing technique right.
Impressive year.
The top ones give us some options.
Okay.
We just,
I think throw a bump.
okay. Was my last one a 10?
I really like this call. Einarson with hammer trying to simplify it for her shots by tapping this blue one out. And if this is made properly, it'd be a couple yellow that can be run in on that back blue one.
Similar weight. Yep.
Nice soft weight here.
Weight's great.
Should be able to hang around with this weight.
Might have to go on blue.
And yeah, no, isn't it great about this is for me the key there. It was the rock positioning. When you go back to that previous stone by Einarson's team, left it on the corner. Now there it is to use, and now look what you've got.
Exactly.
Just keep applying the pressure and with the right weight.
A little less still. That's good.
Okay. Better double open peel. It up. Rip.
Pardon me?
I think open it up. Yeah, double peel's good.
2 choices. You could come around and try to get to that one, but that's all or nothing, isn't it? If Val doesn't make that, the steel's definitely in play for Team Fleury. This makes a lot of sense. And now you can get at the blue one, you can get at the yellow one that are in both in the rings.
Yep.
Well, and you heard that come from Val. You know, a little bit of Skin's experience. You get a little bit lulled into Skin that everything has to be to the forefoot. You got to play everything.
But she's left the shooter now center line, and it's really junking up.
Yeah, not the result they wanted.
More?
Yeah, just a little bit. I do that all the time. It's okay.
tension on this one, so it's going to track. It's going to run a little straighter, a little longer.
1.5. In a little bit. 2. 2. Do you want finish or no?
Little finish. Pretty good.
Yep. Just 1.5. Yep.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's good. Nice shot.
Good. Atta girl.
So we're coming down there, hey?
Yeah.
Good. I didn't go down that side.
Try and open it up again. Even though that yellow center that you're looking at will still be there, it's long and it's really not a guard. So if you can get these two blues, you open up both sides.
Well, Sweeting.
Blue under blue.
Other way.
Uh-oh. And then they really just jammed it. And now look at it, covering the edge of the 4.
Close to getting both of them out of there. That doesn't help.
Yeah. Okay. That's all right. Yeah, I like it. You got Chase?
Decision pretty easy here, Cheryl, for Tracy Fleury. Protect, protect, protect.
It is. She's got, especially with that blue stone sticking around right there. You just throw another lob, another guard up top there, and it's pretty tough to get in. The out turn's shut down.
Yeah, it's a little...
There's really no port. By the time you get past that right yellow, it's going to overcurl.
Yeah, 415. Yeah, I think so.
You can't get through that right side yellows, between those yellows, Russ, and tap up, come across actually, and maybe touch it back against the grain.
I think you can. I wouldn't want to try it, but I think you can. It hooks in there pretty hard.
It instills a lot of confidence.
Yeah,
I don't want to throw it, but
it's virtually impossible. Go ahead, Skipper. No, I think Vic's right. You probably can't tap the blue one out of play, but just to get shot rock, it's definitely there.
Just a 3. That weight's good. 2.5.
This might take it away if they get it deep enough.
I think that's the thought.
Keep it going. Keep it going. Go, 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 go. Keep going. Keep going.
Oh, and there you go.
Nice shot, Grace.
That's the path.
Yeah,
So you're talking about a Fleury team, and Tracy Fleury was not going to play. The rest of the team, as she said, priorities with her team. Everyone was going to go, family, be mums, and she said really contemplated taking off a couple of years. Then she talked with Liz Fight. They'd known each other, seen each other on tour. Would you? Sure. Okay. They make the 4-year commitment, and here they are. But as you saw there, a so-so season with $47,000, nearly 48, 11 on tour, no wins, and almost close to a 500 record when it comes to wins and losses. But who cares when you win the big one?
Exactly. The season was all for building toward that. I'm sure they would have said that at the beginning. We'll take a Manitoba win over any wins on tour.
And they've had her number this year. When you count last week's final, Fleury is 3-1 coming into the Skins game.
You often see that when you have to play your old team sometimes. When
it's so true.
They know your ins and outs. You know they know you. It's a tough, a little bit tough on the psyche.
What do you got? Angle this back. Going to touch it. Up go. Oh, no, no, no.
Actually, a little overbrushed, to be honest.
Oh, she had that. Just get off it a second earlier.
Tough shot.
What a good throw. See if they get off this. Would have curled up a touch more and they would have clipped the back yellow.
We were hitting where we needed to.
So as you look at this, I'm trying to remember, I'm sorry. That yellow stone on the right-hand side, covering the edge of the 4, was that the first stone that they put up? Was that the draw, the first stone of Mayer's?
I believe that was the out-turn corner that came up a little
Isn't
too
that
light.
funny? Now here it is. That may be the only shot she has left.
And she threw it there so she could maybe use it.
Yeah, ideally you want a little tighter, especially in this situation if she has to play a run.
But even it's a tap up, right?
Yeah.
You just tap it to the be shot wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just know Tracy Fleury will be close on this one. She did a great in-turn draw last end to the pin. Top button would be ideal here. It's definitely going to curl enough.
Top 4. Top button. Line's good. Top 4. Top button. It needs to curl a little bit. Needs to curl.
Weight's really
There
close.
it goes. Line's good. Top curly now.
Go, go, go. Gotta go. Come on.
We're just fully Wait.
Come on.
Waiting for it. Needs to curl is. Go, 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 go.
Come on.
Keep it going. Right.
Good sweep.
Very,
Good.
very nice.
That's good.
What do you see here, Russ?
I think you could.
The taps there. What about, is it too flat, the one on the 12-foot on the right-hand side?
How much do you have?
Yeah, in the rings, yes. Yes, it is. I think you've got a couple raises here, unless you can squeak by that blue one and hit as much as you can see.
I think it'd be close.
Yeah.
It looks not bad from over here.
Should go over top, eh?
Yep, it'll go over top for sure.
With peel?
I don't know if you can throw peeled because we need some curl past the guard.
Like a 9.5? I don't know. We've got to kill it, right? It's not very lively.
Kind of surprised she isn't looking at that. I know it's long. You see it just at the top of the screen on the left, that raise on that yellow.
But
In that way, absolutely.
probably not.
That's more of Carrie's wheelhouse, isn't it?
Do you think this is makeable?
I don't think so. I think they're too far apart. That run double looks like your best bet right now.
Yeah.
No question.
Oh, that run double?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
Because even the draw is tough.
I think this was probably.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to go with this.
Okay, just hit it flat. And
Yep.
So you'd have to throw big weight because it is really flat. Try and spring it over and at least get second shot.
Yeah, there might be enough angle here.
Yeah.
This thing has to be flying, though.
Right now, it's a stolen point. Stolen skin. Einarson needs to get in there for shot to force the carryover. $2,500.
Yep.
Now they got her. Virgil. Staying with it. Staying with it. Call off now. Got to roll it over. Roll it over. Oh, and it just cracked it too full. And it will be a steal for Fleury, and she'll pick up $2,500. Kevin Dewey, $37,000 skin for the win. And Alberta are the Canadian men's curling champions. What do you got, fellas? Oh, you got a pie. Touch it over. Oh, my goodness. Ooh-wee, coo-wee, great. Come on. Come on. Come on. Magic Mike to the floor for the win. For the win. And we expect more great shots when we join you again with the second men's semifinal. Kevin Cooey and Reed Carruthers with Mike McEwen. Now they've decided he will throw the fourth stone and skip the team for the duration of the season. So that's when we join you today at 3 p.m. Eastern Time with men's semifinal number 2. The winner to play Brendan Botcher in the men's final tomorrow. As we welcome you back to Banff, Alberta, and our second day of the TSN All-Star Curling Skins game. Here in the fourth, we play for another $1,500 skin. Carrie Einarson will once again have the last drop. Playing the Yellowstone, she has the hammer, and so she'll look to score the 2 for the money. After that stolen skin of $2,500 by Tracy Fleury. And the game plan is the same. Centerline guard goes up from Fleury to that cornerstone that they had, albeit a little higher and maybe just a little tighter, but they elected not to use and run it back last game.
Yeah, that really surprised me because the easier of the two shots in my mind was definitely that run. You put that rock there, the run double. The front end liked it. They could see it all day long, but Carrie went to the tougher shot for sure.
And she actually executed beautifully, slid as hard as she could, a big extension, lots of rotation, and virtually hit it in the right spot, which is hard to do at that speed. She had to throw that twice as hard to make it.
Nice shot, Kristen. Good. Here.
We're curled here.
Comes out the other side just enough. Now you can keep this open a little bit. I like this. get a chance at this stone in the forefoot. Try and roll away. Give yourself a little breathing room.
Even if they fracture on that center blue guard, they can roll in behind the corner, or at least in the rings, and open it right up. And this is narrow in this situation.
Looking at this roll and tuck it in behind their own, and they sure do. It slips behind the tee line, back 8.
Textbook, isn't it? Perfect corner guard, the right distance, a little away from the center line, so you leave your skipper a draw, and then roll buried. Really nice.
Top 4. Room right now, guys. Top 4. Line's good. Top 4. Still have lots of room. Top 4. Line's pretty good. Okay, line's
Can't help but look at Liz Fife and
just top 4.
see her father, the late Vic Peters, and she said it was quite emotional for her having won in Gimli, and remembering back to was it 14?
15.
Trying to think.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is that in Grand Prairie?
trying to think. No, 16. Is that far back? That's far back when you were there, of course, and Ashley was playing, and Vic Peters was playing.
Right.
And they had the picture of all the skips with their fathers.
Yeah, and all the daughters were on the same All-Star team.
Yes.
Yeah, that was.
And shortly after Vic passed, of course. And, she said it was quite emotional. She was thinking about her father when they accepted the trophy.
What a great guy.
Of course she would be.
Close. We're top 8. Low room right now. Now line only. Line's getting good. Yep. Whoa.
Little line only.
Whoa, then.
T-line. No.
Don't want to bounce.
Top 8 coming down a lot. Whoa. No.
Girl.
That's good.
Hi, girl.
Would you get on that, Carrie, would you get on that?
Freeze the corner.
Do you have any of this? I have a small piece. Might be the easiest way in there. I like it.
Okay.
Bumper.
Okay.
Okay. You got it.
You look at the Manitoba, and we always know that Manitoba is arguably maybe the best province
10-5.
Yeah, you gotta go.
10-5.
for curling talent. She played with Peyton and Loss. You have Brienne and Muir playing on the other team. There's a former Canadian junior champion. The pedigree of Manitoba curling is exceptional.
Okay. It's not bad.
No question.
10.
It's good and it's bad, isn't it? You can you've got a big pool to play to choose from when you're choosing a team, but you look up and the other team's just as strong.
Yeah, it strengthens it, though.
Just
And you're always hoping somebody from Manitoba's Team Canada, so the next guy down the road gets a chance to get it back into that final.
It really helps you for your points, though. If you play a lot of local spiels, and they're all these top teams, you know, Jones and all these top teams are Einarson in the event, then that degree, your numbers go up, right? Your points are that much higher because of the degree of difficulty and the strength of field.
Yeah, their own provincial tour that they have.
Angle it back. Make it go away. And it pushes it out the back. I'll tell you a big difference from yesterday, last night to now. The houses are more lively and there's more action on the stones.
Yeah, so maybe, I don't know that it was really the striking bands as much as it was the new retouch on the bottom of the stones, and when they hit, they just didn't have that spring.
Exactly. That's exactly what I think it was too. I agree. Yeah, it's just a great surface and 4 perfect shots. You think what Team Einarson's done here? Perfect corner guard, rolled, buried. It had a rocker aiming at it. It was buried, rolled, buried. Perfect angle freeze, now an angle raise.
Here, this is going to be a fight. Here comes their own center guard. Here it comes.
Oh, and that's the last one you wanted to lose. That's your chance for a steal.
Well, Val has to hit paint here, but try to keep it as high as you can. If you bring this back to the tee line, you've set up basically the bowling shot with the head pin up top, and there would be a possible triple.
Coming down. We haven't played this way yet. Not curling. Running. Must be hot. It's running like it's hot. Okay, we're about T-line. Whoa. We can take it back. I think we're T on our own. We're back in our own. Back 8. Oh, it's there. there, it's there, it's there, it's there. Yeah. Make it thin.
That's good. Okay, that's fine, Val.
Okay, that works.
13-9.
Okay. Good job. 13-9. Yeah, okay. Nice. You're going to hit and roll over to this side.
So head pin, 7-10 split.
I think it is, Vic, on the outturn side if you choose. Now, the problem with it is you miss it, you're dead. So you might be play the
10.5.
be a little bit more patient here. Maybe just hit and roll on top of that other yellow.
And unlike a bowling lane, you don't have the walls to bounce the pins off of. You know?
No, you do not. I like this call. The's enough time that you can play this.
10.
Just roll about a foot, sure.
Yeah, that's it. Right on top.
10-5. Whoa.
Try and force a mistake out of the other guy.
Whoa. 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 Yeah.
Look at this.
Ooh, that's perfect.
Nice shot.
Just a perfect roll. Look at that. You'd love to roll back towards the center line, but if you do that, you jam on your own rocks. Now you have to roll left as we're looking at it, which sets up a yellow double. Really good shot. Boy, it didn't take long for either team to figure the ice out, did it? There were the extra curl with the rocks, I should say.
It's hard when you throw that half-hour practice and it's completely different.
Whoa. Whoa. It's not doing anything. No, we're not.
This is running.
Little roll.
No. Yep. Well, good. Really nice.
Yeah, they'll hang it around, holding the 12, and they are sitting the 3 and well spread out.
Well, just beautiful weight by Val. You overthrow that at all, you can see how straight it was coming down there, and you're going to roll right out.
No choice now. You have to play the freeze. And the nice thing about this format is you don't care if you give up 4 or 5. You're just going to go all in trying to force them to that single. Well-placed freeze could do that.
Oh, yeah, they said.
Well, and I think you have the right person throwing the freeze.
So almost equal on time used as well. Remember, 30 minutes of thinking time, and then each team has 1 60-second timeout.
Yeah, a little bit to her line. Stick curl. Top 4. Line 5. Top 4. Right to it. T-line.
Interesting there to watch Brianne Mayer and Shannon Burton standing right in behind and saying, look it, watch that line. Watch it go.
Just to it. No. Needs to curl.
A little bounce.
That is the awareness now of all the players and all the teams, Vic. That's changed from so many years ago where they'd be standing up to the side having a conversation about something else. Now it's everybody has to pay attention to every shot.
I think we've got the catcher on the side.
Yeah.
That was overbrushed by about 3 inches there. That's locked right on there.
Okay.
Really good throw.
Okay.
What's your preference here? Do you hit it dead on and sit 3? Or do you try to pick it clean?
It looks like there's enough room to play the pick clean.
Even if you lose everything, isn't it?
It's not so
tough,
bad.
Tough double.
Yeah, I think considering you're right that the double is really difficult. You could play for the pick, but even if it comes up a little bit and everything's gone, not a big deal.
Yep. Clean. Yep. Can't hurt it. Yep.
Einarson the first.
Whoa.
And gone.
Nice. Good call, Val.
And had that little catcher on the side as well, so still sitting the 3 and needing 2 for the skin.
That helps, and it forces Tracy Fleury to a completely different freeze.
That saver's huge too, isn't it, Cheryl? You make a pretty good freeze here. Team Einarson can blast everything out of there, still get their 2.
I think it's close. Yeah.
I don't know what the hog tag was, but
14-4.
Got a little help, Team Einarson, but they played a wonderful end. 7 great stones.
3. Okay, Trace, you got it.
touch more.
A little bit more, yeah. Line's a little bit tight. T-line, Becky.
final stone for Tracy Fleury.
T-line, go, go. Yes, line. High. T-line, good, line, good. Reach close. Reach to it.
Pretty close on weight.
High. High, go. Yep.
And they did well to hold it, and it is the shot stone.
She just doesn't miss in draws.
It's unbelievable.
Never far off.
Yeah.
Got it.
Just enough separation that this is makeable.
And again, to your point, just make those go away because you have the two on the other side that your counters.
Yeah, it was huge. As it turns out, it was huge to hang around with that first one, wasn't it, for Carey? This isn't a gimme, though. You know, hit 2/3 of this, it might hang around.
Do you think I think it's moving to the wing a little bit.
And I think with Peel, should be able to hold it decent.
Yeah. I think it'll curl up just a little bit like that.
Make it go away and pick up the skin. $1,500, but right out of her hand. They jumped it. Bircher trying to hold the line. Now the carry with Mayer jumping in too. Hold it, make it go away. Squeeze it, and far enough. Wow. A little more difficult than she thought. It just moved far enough for the skin, and midway through, Fleury, Einarson were all